Hello again. This is Tom Edmondson from the Atlanta, Georgia area, and I'm talking again. Welcome back, Sladja Milosevic from Serbia. And today she has some exciting news about a book that she has released. So why don't we just get started? You tell us the name of the book and all about how you got it, how you came to write it.
Yes, thank you very much. Good to be back. And very special thanks to you for putting so much energy into translating the book, reading it, and sending me your thoughts about it. That will be the base for us to talk about it today. Well, when we talked last time, it was in May last year. I talked about my work and I told you that my idea is to promote logotherapy through my artwork, whether it is through the sessions I do or through my programs or through my smart installations. And I also do that through music and through my writing. So the book is actually a smart smisao project where I told the story, and I believe it is told from the lenses of logotherapy and music and mathematics and physics and all the flowers and all these topics that I'm generally interested in.
So in fact, I have characterized it as music, math, flowers, and meaning.
Yes, very
Couldn't think of a
nicely
good
put.
M. Thank you. Could not think of a good M word for flowers, so I had to put that one in there. Otherwise, it would be totally M M M M. I will have to say one thing. I wish I were smart enough to translate your book from Serbian into English, but thankfully I have a program that can do it in a matter of seconds. And so this is I do learn German now, but I'm not very good at it. But yeah, thankfully I have a great translation program, so I don't want anybody to think that I'm a genius or anything like that. And I sent you a copy of the translation, and you can see that there's some interesting things that happen with the names. It renders it one way, and then later a different way. So
Mhm.
maybe that's a good way forward here. Tell us about the city. I want to try it. Ravnica.
Yeah, very good,
Is
Ravnica.
that pretty
Yes,
good?
yes.
Ravnica.
Well, yes. Well, that's it. That is actually again, you know, that I play with words a lot.
Okay.
So this part of our country, we usually call it Ravnica because it's a plain land, flat land. I prefer
Hmm.
word flatland. And I deliberately named the settlement. It's a little settlement or village. It's not town. It's basically a few hundred people there. So I deliberately called it Ravnica. So it's the same as the geographical
Okay.
thing that we mean when we say Ravnica. It's the north of the country, right?
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
And so Ravnica is a small town or a village or settlement far away from the big city
Mhm.
on a flat plain, and that's what it means, I assume, more or less.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yes.
it's very slow moving, but connected to social media. So already, I think this makes it very relatable to anybody, anywhere, uh,
Mhm.
because wherever you go in the world, uh, people in small areas are connected because of the internet. Uh,
Mhm.
and what you show here in this book through many, I think more than 30 characters, if I
Mhm.
remember.
Mhm.
Basically, existential issues, life, death, and all the things that happen in between.
Mhm.
So, in fact, here's a quote from the English translation, which I uh, benefited from. This was a great place for specialized studies in existentialism, where in 2 years you could see death, birth, a wedding, and the impact of those events on the place's movement in some new direction. The plain was a landscape of life and death.
Mhm.
And logotherapy themes that I just noticed as I read through it were things like creative values, experiential values, attitudinal values. And I think that you have unconditional meaning as a part of the fabric of this story.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, could you talk a little bit about maybe who's your main character and then some of your favorite other characters?
Mhm. Yes, yes, very well spotted. Well, yes, there are 30 characters. Believe it or not, they are, well, of course, they say don't make friends with writers because you will end up in their books. And this is exactly what happened here because this is I mean the characters are not fully taken from life, but some characteristics of work, of course, are. And what I wanted to tell with the story is that even this is a very small place, only a few hundred people living here, and different characters, each and one of them is unique, which is what logotherapy teaches us. And once you realize how unique and unreplaceable we all are, I think that is the foundation for love to other human being. So
Hmm.
my idea was to present those characters, their uniqueness, their destinies, and the way they treat life, the way they behave, how they interact with each other, what is their destiny, what is their view on responsibility, on life, what's death doing there, what's the role of death. So I put it like as I said, it is literally for me, this would be an excellent place for students to come and learn existential analysis and because everything is moving much faster than in big cities and everybody knows everybody, so you
Yes.
death, they say, earlier you could see death everywhere, people were dying, even the funeral. I remember that when I was a child, the funeral will happen in the whole village. There was a coffin going through the village for the last goodbye, so you could see death. Nowadays, people even don't attend funerals anymore. Like,
Right.
so here and in Ravnica, in the book, you see that all the time. So through the characters and all these topics from logotherapy, I just wanted to show that life is same basically everywhere. What you have in
Mhm.
Ravnica, you also have in New York, in Manhattan, somewhere in Texas, in Germany. So from this point, I think the book deals with the terms and topics which are same everywhere in the world, but on the other hand, it has this flatland sense of living slowly, more wisely, more relaxed. And so on. And there is another thing which, because you put it here that everybody is on internet, no matter they live so far away. And I have a question. There was a man living here who was loved by everybody in the village. And because now everybody is in social media, I asked myself, would everybody love him now if he would have had a Facebook account?
Oh, right, right.
You understand? Because on
Yeah.
Facebook, there is a difference how you see people when they post things which you don't realize when they interact with them in a real life, which makes life more difficult for all of us, as we know. So,
Yes. Wow. That raises a lot of questions. Uh,
yes.
now, when you first mentioned that, I thought something differently. I thought about if he had a Facebook page, he may not go outside. He may be inside all the time.
That's
And
exactly, yes,
yeah,
yes,
and so maybe they wouldn't know him at all. But
exactly.
so here in this country, we have this kind of perception that older people in particular watch a specific type of news, and younger people watch a different type of news, and it creates this division between us. And so that made me think of this as well. Do you have the same issue? You have like very conservative and very liberal, and they create tension among different generations and such.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. And this guy that we are talking about, also, who knows how he would change if he would influenced by social networks. So it's not just
Mm.
about him going out or presenting himself different on the Facebook, but that would definitely shape the way he sees the world nowadays, which would affect his relations. So it is an open area maybe for another book. I don't know.
Yes, it makes me think about when you talk about uh, Ravnitsa.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I know I'll never get it right,
Very
but
good. It's
oh,
very
okay.
good.
Thank you. Um, and I can think about here in Georgia, Atlanta is a pretty good sized metropolitan area. We do have the world's busiest airport, so that there's that, and a lot of Hollywood stuff has moved here. But I can go out 2 hours in any direction. I will be out in a similar area
Mm,
as Ravnica,
mm,
country
mm,
people. But 30 years ago, it would be a different world.
mhm,
Today, because of the connectedness of the internet, it is, we see the same attitudes, the same problems. We see that out in the rural areas, the drug use and addiction and all these problems are as bad or worse as they are in the big city.
mm,
So that's an interesting thing that is being changed by social media and so forth.
mhm,
So it's now your town in this book is kind of a microcosm in that sense,
mhm, mhm,
and we can look at it as being there in Central Europe, and we
mhm.
think, oh, that's not very different from rural Georgia or the other
Yes.
side of the country or you know
Yes.
Chile, somewhere else. Very,
Mhm,
very interesting. Your main character, you better tell me her name.
mhm. Well, you think you probably mean Anja?
Anja. Okay, yes, thank
Uh-huh.
you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, this story does not really have a plot. It's not like a
Mhm,
mystery or uh,
mhm,
a drama. It is basically her observations and the people with whom she interacts. That makes it
mhm,
a truly existential story.
mhm,
And tell us a little bit more about Anja, how she makes this story move, and how it revolves around her, I guess,
mhm,
her observations of
mhm.
people.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so my publisher and also the big bookstore that has my book now, they characterize book as a novel in characters. So they think the uniqueness of the book is that I'm writing through the characters, which is not the case that often. The first thing, and the second thing is music in the book, which you also
Mhm.
noticed. But there is a
Yes.
funny story about music in the book. I will tell it to you later.
Okay.
It's not funny. It's actually, I don't know how mystical. I'll tell you that later. But so Anja moved from the big city to a small town, small place, Ravnica. And this is what happens a lot here because people are moving from the big cities into small settlements, small villages, because the life is much easier, you have, as you say, you are connected to internet, so now you can live anywhere. You have water, electricity, that's it. So she is one of those people moving from, but she used to live abroad also, so it's not problem for her to move around. This is I also wanted to promote more here that people can move. In Serbia, it's completely opposite to United States. In United States, people easily move from one side of the country to another. In Serbia, no, if you are born in the city, you stay there almost all your life. You go to studies, you come back.
I
So
see.
so I wanted to tell you that, yeah, you can move, you can go to live somewhere else. And she was born at a similar place, so she's familiar with this part of the country, with the culture, with and everything. She is easygoing in the sense that she makes friendships. She can easily fit into wherever she is, but she struggles because she can't find people who have same topics as she does, because mostly people are undereducated.
Mhm.
They live their lives around agriculture. It's a small settlement, so there is a lot of gossip going around, which I really tried I don't involve in gossip of any kind here, or anywhere or in the book, but it was difficult not to have it in the book because they do that all the time, so it's
Right.
it's part of the culture, not just here, I assume everywhere. So she used these characters to observe life and death of young person, death of a baby, those are things which mathematics cannot calculate. What's going on here? What are the answers here? Then we have some characters who had a very, very difficult life. They are very poor, they're undereducated, but they are very good. They have good hearts, and
Mhm.
they do self-transcendence all the time, even being that poor and basically trapped here, in Ravnica. They're trapped there. They can't travel a lot. The big city is far away. There is one city close to them. It's 30 kilometers, but there is no infrastructure. They can't travel even. So I use characters to describe a parent who lost both children and wife,
Mhm.
living on his own, being a beautiful soul, and so on. So Anja is actually roaming around, asking herself existential questions, meeting all these people and observing how they live their lives. And she wants to take the best from them, to slow down, to become a minimalist. And she's also questioning herself, are they going to take anything from her, like to put picture on the wall, to start listening to some good quality music, to are talking about books, not just about what the neighbor did wrong, and so on.
Mm.
So that's
Right.
it.
Yeah, it makes for a very good combination
Mhm.
that brings up all these questions. And it's
Mhm.
interesting because you describe Anja as someone who comes to them to benefit from their slow pace of life and simpleness or whatever.
Mhm.
And yet she brings something with her that she hopes that they will benefit from as
Mhm.
well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, that's the idea. But uh, um, it is just the beginning, so we will see what will happen. Maybe there will be another book which is continuation of this, or she will just move to UK to be with her new partner. We will see what will what
Okay.
will happen.
All right. Well, so there is a sequel, maybe.
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay. So let's then talk about your great love of music and philosophy and how these work in there.
Mhm.
I have a few quotes here that I have brought up for the discussion and for the benefit of our listeners. So on page 6, you describe how Anja and Lepa, I guess her dog,
Lepa, beauty.
they come to the town of Ravnica to begin or to create something new, and you describe this as C major, the
Mhm.
sound of hope. Of course, C
Mhm.
major. I know a little bit about music, and then I know there's no sharps, no flats. So,
Yes.
and on the same page, you write in the excuse me, in the major and minor keys of life, it's the ones who are born along with teachers and friends who are the chords of meaning. It is intriguing to create a philosophy of life based on music.
Mhm. Mhm.
I can read some more quotes if you like. You refer to E flat minor as the prelude to drama.
Mhm.
Let's see what else.
Yes.
Anja heard somewhere that we are all a note that makes up the symphony played by humanity. Let's see. Okay, page 68. True F major, the peace of the landscape or a feeling of tranquility.
Mhm.
Okay. Anja believed it should be, and the word was. I think you're referring to the Gospel of John,
Mhm.
and the beginning
The
was the word,
mhm.
and the word was, it should be, and there was a note, and there was a number, of course. Yeah.
Mhm.
I hope one day you will expand on that.
We will see, yes. Well,
Yes.
yeah. This is a very good introduction because I wanted to tell you the structure is unique, the publisher says, and the bookstore, but I want to share that I did it all completely unconsciously. So
Mhm.
I was writing and it just came. Also, the structure itself, the music into the book, and also the music, and also um, characters and all other important things just came from nowhere. The terms chords of meaning, time, space, a place of meaning, time of meaning, and geometry of meaning, it just came out of nowhere in the book. And only when it was getting ready to be published, I said, well, should I check, is there anywhere that anybody previously mentioned chords of meaning or time of meaning or space of meaning? And no, nobody, as far as I did my search, nobody mentioned that. But there is something that is called geometry of meaning in the semantics, where these scientists from MIT or Sweden, he saw words as shapes, but it's completely another thing than from what I was thinking. I was thinking geometry when I go walking and when I see shapes, they give me meaning. When I look at them, like the beauty that is influencing me. And I did all of that completely unconsciously. And then this is the story I wanted to share. Everybody is telling me, like when they were reading that before the publishing, oh, a lot of music, a lot of physics, a lot of mathematics. Okay, we know about physics and mathematics, and we know that you're in love with music, but how did you, and how did all that music just come into the book? And you know what happened? When I was a teenager, I was reading Milan Kundera a lot. I don't know if you have, you probably heard. It's a Czech French writer, Milan Kundera, very famous. And there is his most famous book is Unbearable Lightness of Being.
Oh, yes, right, right.
Yeah, right. So, and I read it when I was maybe 17, which was many decades ago. And only now, when I published my book, I took again Kundera to read him after 35, 40 years. And to my shock, there is a lot of music in his book also, because
Hmm.
he was a musician himself. He composed. So I just couldn't believe that something that I know that I loved the book and I remember some quotes. I didn't remember anything about the music, but when I read it again, I was completely shocked to realize how much influence he had on me and most probably on involving this music into my book. I think that it came from Kundera's work. I don't have
Okay.
an explanation, but
Yeah.
it really amazed me when I realized that. So it's not you. My music in the book is not unique. I unconsciously took it from Kundera.
Well, if it was unconscious or even subconscious, then
Mhm.
from a logotherapy point of view,
Mhm.
existential analysis point of view, then it came from your spiritual noetic core,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. Mhm.
And so, in this sense, I would think that writing is a form of therapy or is a form of getting more in touch with your deeper inner spiritual self.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, I write, and I'm not saying that that makes me, a genius or anything, but the point that I'm making is I find that when I write a sermon, for instance, I used to have an outline in mind. It was very didactic, very, you're going to do this or whatever. And then I stopped doing that. And I would start instead with an idea, a scripture, and who was my audience, the congregation. And then I would just start writing. And I could never predict how the sermon was going to go. But at that point, my preaching got better because I think what
Mhm.
happened is I was thinking about here's the scripture, and here's the audience, and I'm kind of like you know, a, some a vessel through which the message has
Mhm.
to travel, and I have to
Mhm.
relate it to them, and I have to relate them to that passage of scripture. And so it's amazing what things come out of your writing that
Yeah,
you don't plan it, but it's you.
exactly. And it just, I can't sit and write. I read the other day that the famous painter says the amateurs wait for the time to paint. I just go into my studio and I paint.
All
But
right. Yeah.
yeah, but I can't sit and write. You know, it just like the other day, I wrote a very funny story about clash between modern life coaches and influencers and people who are living ordinary lives, not understanding what's going on. It just came from somewhere, you know, and I sat down and I wrote it, and it's so funny, and everybody laughed. But you know, I never planned to do that. It just came, I read it from somewhere, or I don't know how to explain that. But yes, you're right. It is therapy. It is expressing yourself, and it comes from God knows which part of my brain or consciousness of the humanity or Milan Kundera. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, my opinion, Viktor Frankl would call this the spiritual unconscious, you
Mhm.
know. So I think it applies to music, it applies to art, uh, of any kind. And so, in other words, you sat down to write this story. You didn't know that music was going to
Mhm.
become such a dominant theme here. Is that correct?
Yes, that was not my plan. It just came from somewhere.
Yeah. Okay.
Although I shared with you, I published previously, I wrote previously about connection of logotherapy and music, where
Mhm.
I took the music scale, and each tone is actually the something from logotherapy. So it
Mhm.
probably again is connected somehow. This comes from my mind, God knows from where. So it's not, and I'm thinking really a lot about music. Music is very important to me. So definitely music will be part of the book, but I never thought in this scale or in this form. So yeah.
Mhm. So in Flatland Blues, you're not quoting from your earlier book called A Philosophy of Music or something like that. It just comes,
No, it just comes. Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So C major is the sound of hope, and E
Mhm.
flat is the prelude, or E flat minor, excuse me, is the prelude to drama.
Drama,
And
yes.
true F major is peace, a landscape of or feeling of tranquility, and so forth.
Mhm. Yes, and G major to finish the day with
Yes,
something good. Yes.
yes, I
Well,
had the very end. She
yeah.
concluded the day should still end in G major.
From some reason, G major, I just love G major. I don't, I can't explain why. Besides that, I'm not that, I mean, I don't have a music education, which is at the high level. I consider that very, very basic. So this is how you know, this is my experience with it. So.
I understand, but I've always felt like different genres of music can communicate different things. Uh,
Mhm.
and for instance, um, heavy metal, which is one of my favorite genres,
Mhm.
believe it or not.
Mhm.
Some people think, oh, that's, evil, darkness, or whatever, but it can also project majesty or power. It doesn't
Mhm.
have to be negative, it doesn't have to be dark. But I will say that E flat minor is probably the dominant key for doom metal. So just
Mhm.
imagine that.
Uh-huh. Thank you. Yes. Mm. Good to know.
Uh, yeah,
Uh-huh.
classical music has, a full range of what we call classical music. I know there's
Mhm.
Baroque and other forms, romantic and neoclassical and so on. Country music can be negative and portray people who get drunk or do whatever, but it can also portray patriotism, loyalty, family values. So this the music is kind of neutral, but it can be used to
Yes.
express beliefs and feelings and thoughts. So
Mhm.
I,
Yes.
every, everybody likes music, I think.
Everybody likes music. Everybody
Some
likes
kind.
music. Yeah. Well, yes. More music, more peace, more world is a better place, I believe. Yeah.
I agree. In our previous podcast, you talked about, in addition to the accordion and the piano and the violin, you play
Mhm.
a national instrument that your father played. I think you
Mhm.
called it like a flauela or something.
Rula. Frula. Uh-huh.
Okay,
Frula.
I'll take your word
Right.
for it. Furura.
Good. Uh-huh.
Um, and so when you hear that instrument, when you play the instrument, what are the feelings and thoughts that it evokes in you?
Frula.
Yes.
Well, yes, well, it's connection with my father and connection with this part of the land where he is from. It's a very lively music. It's beautiful. I will share some of that with you, and I think you will
Okay.
like it. It's very,
Oh,
very lively. For me, it's very positive. That was my father. He was logotherapist at his heart, although he had no idea what it is. He was engineer himself. So Frula is a very alive, very positive, very sentimental. um, you see, I'm smiling when I'm talking about it. It's all the best is for me in Frula, although the range it can, well, it is used in some classical music also with Mozart and so on. So yeah, but
okay.
for me, it's a
Good.
national, and it's my dad, and it's that part of the country where my grandparents used to live.
Okay. So then our conversation is revolving around all of these themes that have to do with music and culture and sort of the unique character of Serbia, Serbian people, Serbian culture, but also the universality of the themes of existentialism, life, death, marriage, childbirth, and tragedy, and so forth. So I really do hope that you will be able to, or consider, um, making the book available in English. Uh,
Mhm.
some work would need to be done with that machine translation I sent you. But do you think it's possible that one day you will make it available?
That's an excellent question. When I had a promotion in Belgrade, people who were there, they asked me, "Am I going to translate it in English because it's so universal, you know?" And I said, maybe in Hungarian, Romanian, and Slovak language, because those are areas where the culture is the same, like here, so they would understand it. But English, I was not thinking about it. But when you did such a great translation, I could see that it reflects really, but it reflects, even with the machine translation, it really reflects what I wanted to see. I think it's a culturally sensitive. So some parts I would have probably to adjust, but it is possible to translate it. And it is now in my mind since you
Mm.
were kind to do that for me. So we will see. Yes.
Well, good. Sounds great. I mean, you never know. You may become world famous, and we'll all say, we knew her when.
We knew her when she was just nobody.
Yeah.
That's a famous
Nobody is nobody.
nobody. You know, that is another way to I learned it from one of the American movies. They asked somebody, they asked him who he was, and he said, "I'm nobody. Like I'm
Yeah.
just a spirit. I'm nobody. Nobody. I'm just a
Yeah. You're
spirit."
talking about the movie Nobody, right? With
Mm.
he thinks you think he's just an accountant in a firm, and he used to be an assassin or something, and he gets on the bus with
Um,
all the Russian mafia, and he beats them
um,
up.
no, another one, another
Oh,
one.
okay.
But I don't know the title, but that was it, like nobody. And there is another saying in Serbian which I want to share with you because as you were talking to me like music, you can look at the music from different aspects. It can be a heavy music, or again, it can present power, or I mean, looking on things from different angles. That's also logotherapy, like a sunflower in my book. And that
Hmm.
was my father's philosophy again. Follow the sunflower. There is a wisdom in that flower turning to
Hmm.
the sun all the time. So
Yeah.
there is a saying in Serbian, like for a clever, no, the saying is for a clever man, even mosquito is a music.
Okay.
In a sense that, you know, if you listen carefully, you can find beauty, or look carefully, you can find beauty anywhere and use it to your own benefit and to benefit of others, right?
Yeah.
So instead of
Even a
saying,
mosquito has a purpose.
even he has a purpose, right? Right. So, you know, when you say heavy metal, somebody would say, wow, no. But who knows, in 20 years' time, you might like heavy metal. You don't know. That's another thing which I like in logotherapy. Never judge and never think in a present moment. You don't know what things unfold in a most mysterious way, and we understand only somewhere from the future why something has happened. And this
That's
gives
right.
me a great comfort in living,
Mhm.
to be aware of that.
Very nice. And so we've talked a lot about the music aspect, but your
Mhm.
background is actually in engineering, and
Mhm.
you talk a lot or a fair amount in this book also about mathematics. Um, and so let's see if I can locate the quotes. Oh yeah, I love this one. This one just struck me as what we would call a quotable quote. Uh, Everything was falling apart because people didn't know math. Since the people didn't know math, they didn't know how to plan either. That's on page 93 and on page 101. Although in our lives we try our best to be guided by logic, most often in the most important things in life, there is no logic at all. So I found that one interesting.
Mhm.
Let's see what else. I feel like I missed another quote, but anyway, talk a little bit about the importance of math, I guess, for
Mhm.
everyday living.
Yes, well, you also put here Euler's identity, mathematical beauty, the equation
Yes, thank
representing mathematics. I think that Euler's identity is a representation of life, basically. You have one, you have zero, you have P, number P, which is related to cycle, geometry, trigonometry, and you have two other numbers, E and I. And it's a beautiful equation. For me, it's telling me what life is if you look at it carefully. I mean, that's my
yes.
understanding. So mathematics, I actually took it from the book Thinking Fast and Slow,
Mm,
the famous book Thinking Fast and Slow, where he is explaining, the author, that if you want to calculate 2 plus 2, this is already the point where you have to turn on your brain. So the thinking is hard. And even for
yes.
this simple equation, you have to think hard.
Hmm.
So, and the other day, a friend shared a post where it says, please calculate one and one. And you say two, you know that it's simple. And then she said, well, let's divide 880,000, blah, 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 with 24. You have to take a note and to do some calculation. What are you doing with your life? Life is much more complicated than this division. And still,
Hmm.
you never put anything on paper and you don't calculate. You just, go through
Yes.
little plan. It blew my mind. I said, this is it. And that is why I think mathematics is very important because
Mhm.
I wanted to say not just mathematics itself, but turning on your brain and really thinking hard on everything. So this is where this comes from. And if you don't know math, and if you don't observe carefully, and brain is not on, you make mistakes. You go through life with no thinking, basically. So that was my intention with this with this quotable quota.
Yeah, very good. So, like I said, music, math, meaning, and flowers.
Flowers, yes.
And I meant to highlight. You just mentioned a minute ago about sunflowers, and you
Mhm.
said it was your father, was it? They had the sunflower philosophy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in my teaching days, I was required a few times to teach science, which I was not great at, but I did. And one of the things I observed in biology, of course, was what is called phototropism. And what that
Mhm.
means, you know that term perhaps, but it means that when a tree grows, the leaves always reach for the light. And that's
Mhm.
exactly what, you know, and it kind of brings us back to the idea that, maybe your father didn't study biology, but he had a philosophy that connected with that. And um, that's again, I think the beauty of your story and your characters is that wisdom, there's knowledge and then there's wisdom.
Mhm.
And we can we can praise knowledge and, be great at trivia or whatever, or know great, uh, have a great vocabulary and so forth. But there's a wisdom that can be common to any person who is open to it.
Mhm.
And your story with these 30 characters, they show people that are all across that spectrum, from
Yes.
very foolish to very wise, but most of
Yes.
us are somewhere in between.
Mhm. Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes. Well, to go back to flowers and to your story, um, I heard once a philosopher here telling that flowers are very mystical because their roots are in the ground in the on the
mhm,
earth, but
yes,
beauty we see is astral. It's going up under the sky, and the flowers are actually connection. This is why I think we bring flowers to graves. It's not people
yes,
give flowers whilst the person is alive. No, but I think people put flowers in the graves because they want connection with, with God, with the spirit that is somewhere here. So
mhm,
that was the first story. That is the same philosopher whom I heard saying what I wrote in the book, that we feed ourselves not just through the mouth, but through what we hear and we see and we, look at. We should be leaves, like going always for the light.
that's on
Yeah,
page 26.
yes, that's all my father's philosophy. He adored flowers and he had sunflowers everywhere.
Okay.
So that's from him. But another thing I wanted to share, this book for me was also uh, tool, let's say, to promote logotherapy. Because in the session about the author, I said that I studied logotherapy, so people can, relate to that and get interested into that. But funny fact is that my sister had a friend. She left her job recently, and she was thinking to take some sessions with me. I don't know her. I mean, she's just related to my sister. And then my sister gave her my book. And she read the book and she wrote me an email saying that she got so many answers into the book.
Ah, right, right.
Like the story about sunflowers, she said that blew my mind. And I made a picture of this session about sunflowers and I sent it to all my friends who fear to leave the jobs they hate for ages.
Wow.
And I said,
Nice. Yeah.
well, yes, this is really, really powerful because I read the other day that whatever we do, we should do from the position of love, not fear. And
Hmm.
fear is, in a modern world, especially, and previously in history, fear is always there. So I think
Yeah,
there's really a lot to learn from flowers, which we see just a source of beauty and admiration, maybe, but there are really many lessons that we can learn from them. Like the story about leaves you just said, or sunflower of lotus, who is sharing his beauty in the mud.
hmm,
That's
right.
that's amazing. So yeah.
Yeah. So it's all there. Uh,
It's
right? Music, math, flowers, and meaning.
in
And
meaning, exactly.
it
Yes.
must feel good to know that someone read your book and was inspired by it to not be afraid of moving on and shared that with others. That must be a really good feeling.
Yes, that is a good feeling. But then again, it's a moment of time where she found it useful and that gave her some encouragement.
Yeah,
So that's okay. But she will have to do the good math, to put brain on and to think further about her actions with
sure.
responsibility. Yeah.
Okay, hear another book coming on about how music, math, and flowers can improve your life. And
And
actually,
physics. Yes.
in physics, and maybe because the word that keeps popping into my head throughout this conversation is Pythagoras. So perhaps you are somehow distantly related to Pythagoras.
I told you last time I'm a great admirer of Pythagoras, and in one of my previous books, I wrote a short story about Pythagoras, and the main point was that Pythagoras was very lucky that at the time he lives, there were no psychiatrists around. Otherwise, he would be put in an
Right.
institution, and we couldn't learn anything from Pythagoras because his ideas really, I mean, spirits, he could hear his friend talking through the dog. He was not eating beans and all these mathematical ideas and so on. I love Pythagoras, so yeah,
Yeah.
this.
Well, maybe Pythagoras is proof of Frankel's psychiatric credo that behind the neurosis there still is an intact human spirit.
Yeah. Well,
There
there is
could be.
a lot of connection I can see there. Yes.
What are your hopes and dreams about this book? I mean, have they already been fulfilled, or has something new opened up as a result of having written this book?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you. Well, I set an intention with this book, and it is coming easily to this reality. Well, the publisher disappeared, and then 6 months later, he managed to put my book in the major bookstores in Serbia and in his online bookstore. So my only wish is that people find it really useful when they read it, that they think about rethink their lives, and that they wake up in a sense, and that they discuss it with somebody. I don't think it will be widely popular because it's not just a novel, and I don't need that. But I hope that it will leave some trace, in the sense of that it will be readable for a long time. Like,
Mhm. So if a group decides to read your book together and they need a study guide or some uh, maybe some guidelines for their reading of your book, what would you suggest? What are maybe two or three things you would suggest that they look for as they read through your book?
in the sense of lessons learned, or
Sure.
yes, maybe. Well, I would actually connect, let's say, the book with the introduction to logotherapy course, which we had at the institute.
Hmm.
Because you can find a lot of these basic things in a book. That would be or just to read about logotherapy for a man's search for meaning and then try to find things. But the three main lessons would be, to do some math about your life, to learn as much as you can from wherever you are, because she also came to learn. And three, to live life from the position of love and joy, no matter how difficult it is with all the anxiety and changes and horrible things going around in our realities. I mean, news are coming worse and worse, so we have to protect ourselves, and maybe that would also be one message.
Okay, right. In other words, how to respond in a positive way and how to make life positive and good, as opposed to the negativity that seems to
Yes.
be so infectious around us.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You also made me think about the fact that about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I was invited to speak for a group of elderly adults or senior adults, as we call them. And I thought, well, I'm only going to have one opportunity to speak to them. How do I tell them about logotherapy without making them really bored? You know,
Mm.
lots of vocabulary. And I really don't like to go to an unfamiliar group of people and start talking about Viktor Frankl said this, Viktor Frankl said that, and
Mm.
there's paradoxical intention, and all this stuff.
Mm.
So I finally settled on Elizabeth Lucas, the candle meditation.
Mhm.
So
Beautiful.
because they are in their 80s and 90s,
Mm.
this is a good way to introduce them to logotherapy.
Mm.
And so that's what I did. And in a sense, um, maybe your story is relatable to senior adults, but it's probably very relatable to millennials and younger people and middle-aged people of wider range. Maybe that is a good way into
Mm.
logotherapy,
Mm. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
as well as physics and mathematics and flower arranging and whatever.
Yes. Exactly, yes.
Is that was that kind of your intention from the beginning, or you just thought, I have this story and I need to write it down?
Mm. Well, I had the story, but you know, logotherapy is, I mean, part of all of us so much that we just have to, it just comes out uh, in everything we do, I think. So,
Hmm.
yeah, it was not intention from the very beginning, but all these things just pop up: music, flowers, physics, mathematics, logotherapy. As you said, that's me.
Good,
So,
good.
mhm, yeah.
Uh, so now I'd like to maybe sort of bring this conversation to a close by
Mhm,
sharing with you a pet peeve that I have, sort of an aggravation uh, um, that I have, and that is that when I studied at the institute and I earned my diplomate, and you studied at the same institute that I did. Um, it was kind of impressed upon me, well, you don't have a clinical degree, you don't have clinical training, so you're not a logotherapist, you are a logo philosopher, something along that line. We don't do logotherapy. And I bought it and I did I have a diplomate in logo philosophy, which means I didn't do the course that applies logotherapy to clinical training. So far, I'm making sense, right?
yes.
So I have since come to think I don't fully agree with that point of view for
Mhm,
several reasons. One reason is that all my years as a pastor, I counsel people.
mhm,
And not only do I counsel people if I go to a hospital room or
mhm,
to a where someone has died and I'm with the
mhm,
family, or maybe someone comes to my office once a week for an hour. But even in preaching and teaching, anything I do that helps people through. So you have this experience. Someone read
mhm,
um, your story and it changed their life. It made it. Well, I can point to things like that too. Is that not therapy? Is that not therapeutic?
mhm,
That's point number one. Point
mhm,
number two is people who have a clinical license. They're a licensed clinical social worker, licensed clinical family counselor, whatever. Do they prescribe medicine? No, they're
mhm,
not medical doctors.
mhm,
Do they diagnose personality disorders? Do they have the authority to diagnose personality disorders? So, how different is that person from you or me?
mhm, mhm,
So,
mhm.
I'm just going to make this a problem for everybody.
Well, it's a great. We can maybe have a logo chat and discuss about this once. That's a good place because we all so much respect and love each other. That would be a good open space for everybody to contribute. But you gave me some really good input to think about it. Um, yeah, very, very. It will require some of my very deep thinking
Good.
in
I'm glad.
terminology because you know sometimes when I feel bad, I would put Bach's air, and it's just like I had a medicine. So that was therapy.
Hmm.
Three,
Yeah.
4 minutes of therapy. So I think it's about words. What is therapy and how it is done, and you know, it's
Yeah.
for deep thinking and discussion, probably.
Sure. And as a coach, you coach people in business and in other contexts. I So let's finish with this question,
Mhm.
and you don't have to answer it if you don't want to. But as a coach, as a logo coach,
Mhm.
have you ever worked with a client that not only made the changes or improvements in their work, whatever you were working on, but also said, that changed my life?
Mhm. Yes, yes. Oh, I'm very strict into that area. I think I'm just facilitating the process and they are in charge. So
Hmm.
they changed their life with
Hmm.
me
Yes.
being there, which is excellent. But they have to do that, and the changes do happen, of course, many times, many times. So the answer would be yes. I'm facilitating, and they are changing. I'm witnessing that, which gives me a great pleasure
Mhm.
to be there with them.
Well, and that's exactly what I would think any logotherapist would do with any client.
Mhm.
And I will say my book that is coming out in pastoral care and counseling,
Mhm.
um, I have I emphasize the word that gets used a lot in Europe, and that is accompaniment. You know,
Mhm.
we talk about logotherapy as a therapist and a client. We accompany them. And what I
Mhm.
do is I draw from that. As you know, my wife is a
Mhm.
musician, and she is a music minister, and she
Mhm.
is a music teacher, and she is a choral conductor. So she conducts choirs and so forth. So when she conducts a choir, she's in front of everybody, and she has beautiful artistic gestures and so forth, and she brings out everybody's talents and gifts. But when she
Mhm.
sits down at the piano to play, she does not show off. She is not anything.
Yes.
So in
Mhm.
my book, I draw a contrast between concert pian- concert pianist
Mhm.
and accompanist.
Mhm.
The concert pianist is going to play something very uh, uh, noticeable,
Mhm.
Chopin, right?
Mhm.
Something, blah 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 blah
Mhm.
blah blah. And the audience is going to say, "That was amazing, beautiful,
Mhm.
exciting, whatever. What skill?" Okay, but an accompanist plays not to be seen, but to enhance the singers. When the accompanist plays for the choir or for the chorus, they're playing to help the singers sing better.
Mhm.
In a worship service in church, the accompanist is playing to help the people sing to God.
Mhm.
And if the accompanist draws attention to themselves, they're not helping the singers.
Mhm.
Right. So I
Mhm.
think that in that sense, what you do, what I do, is equally therapeutic if we are coming beside people, if we are helping them to discover what is already there.
Mhm.
And that is therapeutic.
That is therapeutic. And once we have a math to prove the power of therapeutical effect,
Yes.
then maybe we can say yes. But it's a fair points. I liked what you conclude, and I have to think about that, and probably we can all think about it together. But it's very profound.
All right. I appreciate that. I've truly enjoyed our conversation, and I hope that everyone is watching has enjoyed it as much as I have, and maybe they'll even pick up a copy of your book.
Thank you so very much. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.